when it snows, I remember being a kid, and I'll paint a picture for you. I lived on a cul-de-sac, so I would sit there, and my parents would go, "All right, go to bed. You don't know if school's going to be canceled." I'm like, "No, like power of positive thinking. It's going to be canceled. It's going to be canceled. It's going to be canceled." And I would sit there and I'd make pretend to fall asleep on the couch. And then as soon as my parents went up, I'd like look at the street lamp. I'd like wait for the snow flurries. I'd wait for the snow flurries. I'm like, they're not coming. They're not coming. And I'd turn the TV on. You'd look at that little ticker on the TV. And now they like cancel my kids' school's canceled. They canceled it at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday before a single snowflake. It takes the whole fun out of it. So happy Tuesday, everybody. And look, today is going to be a little bit of a different style session. And as we talked about yesterday, it's all about putting this stuff into action. Josh Muncie, nice to see you here, buddy. And so, one of the things I wanted to do was actually have an agent come on here and do this live so you could see what it's like, right? Because I would say communication without context is miscommunication. So we want to make sure that we provide you context on how this actually looks as we close this chapter of this all out. So Gretchen, can somebody co-spotlight Gretchen?
Hi.
Good morning.
I'm on here a couple times. So yeah, there you go. Hi.
So look, Gretchen actually does the playbook with her entire team.
My entire team is here. We are so pumped. I've got such a fangirl moment for you, Chirag. This team has sold over a house a day for the entire month of February. Are you guys pumped? Yes. We are having our biggest month of our entire business. And these numbers might not shock some of the people in bigger markets, but this is our total volume. And, a month ago, we were not sitting in the same position. So thanks to everybody on the playbook.
Well, thank you all for being committed, doing work, and, just being open to change like everyone else here is. And look, it's always nice just to see what happens when you actually commit yourself to something, right? And look, the part that we want to go through today is like what keep it or cut it looks like. And going through your expenses and figuring out where to get rid of money is very challenging. Then in this market, figuring out where to reinvest your money can be even more challenging, right? Because once you get some money back, you don't necessarily want to give it away. And so Gretchen has been kind enough to open up her business to share with us some things that are pressing on her mind. And we're going to follow the same thing, the have I, can I, will I method that we asked you all to do. So when you're going through this conversation in your head, these are the same exact steps that you're looking at. So, all right, Gretchen, we're going to go to cut it before we go to keep it, right? So Gretchen's kind of traumatized from the first time I did this with her in person. When I asked her to do this, she's like, well, cutting expenses, she goes, I'm like blacked out and traumatized from the last time you did this with me in person. So, I had to kind of give her some space and some PTSD medicine. And now she's back in this. So what are we thinking of keeping or cutting?
Well, we have got a lot of print going on right now, like a lot of magazine print that I'm not sure we're getting a return on. I'm not sure if it's working. And I'm thinking about doing some different, allocating that money or some portion of that money into some different strategies, specifically direct mail.
All right, so let's start with this and see if we can find you some money. So, if you think about have I, can I, will I, right? So in the beginning, if you were doing this and we're starting from scratch, it's where do the print ads go?
We've got print ads going in several different medias. There's a magazine that's here kind of in our area called Midtown Magazine. We do relocation magazines. We're in Hot Residence. There's several different publications that we do sporadically throughout the year to the tune of about $32,000 a year in print.
So let's start with this. What is the purpose? What was the purpose when you started doing this?
The purpose when we started doing it was really brand recognition. We really started this when we came to Compass. It was a new, obviously a new brand in our market as a whole in April of 2021. We were doing some sporadic print prior to that, but we really wanted to kind of get the team's name out there, set our image aligned with Compass. And I feel like, we've really done that.
So here's the thing, right? Like, so two things to point out to everybody here. One, sometimes an investment you made has served this purpose and you need to know just when to walk away, right? So the question is have you done all the supplemental pieces to this marketing, right? So if you look at print that goes into a specific area, do you send the mail? Do you send handwritten notes? Do you do events in the area? Do you have clients in the areas? Do you sell a lot of homes in the area? This is like a wheel of things to think about, right? Because whether it's print ads, digital ads, geographic farming, it's in the supplements that you really start seeing the multipliers. So in these areas, have you done any of these things?
Well, we've done some events. Obviously, we have a huge video component that is around one of the publications that we're in called Midtown Magazine. Midtown's where my office is. It's kind of where we spread out from. So we do a lot of video support with businesses within North Hills, Midtown. We do some community outreach here. So we're doing some things for Midtown Magazine, but for the other publications, we're not doing anything.
Okay, so out of the 32,000, do you know which portion is the Midtown Magazine?
9,300 is Midtown Magazine.
All right, so assume since your office there, as I've been there, and that would, the other part's already on the chopping block, right? So if you guys thinking about it, have you done the supplemental things? The answer is no. Can you do the supplemental things? Yes, I would say, right? But do you really want to?
Well, not for all the other magazines. I think for Midtown, there's probably a way that we could scale that back just a little bit, and use that money more for direct mail. I feel like right now, I don't know how to put the energy into all of these publications and go all into Midtown Magazine when we're still going to be doing the video stuff. We're still going to be doing events here, but we can't really track the return on investment from it, right, Chirag? Like you can't most people don't call and go, oh, I saw you in Midtown Magazine. I think we've had one phone call like that. So, they're seeing that as a piece of the whole package. It's not necessarily driving people to take an action. And what I'm starting to find is we're not spending the time to get the ads really, really dialed in and make sure every single word is correct. And we're kind of using the same language over and over and over. So, I'm starting to wonder if it's really money well spent, or can we scale that back and just do 2 ads a year, which would really be 4 months a year in our heightened season. So maybe going into spring market and going into fall market.
All right. So now you got my creative juices flowing. So here's the thing. So if you look at everyone here, and I wanted to make this a way that we all can understand this in our business, right? Not just specific to Gretchen. She'll get some more context here. But the first thing here is when you're looking at print ads, right? Can we open the chat up, please? And then I'll have you guys close it down again. How many people do print ads here? Okay, chat's open. Hit yes if you do print ads. Just get an idea of how many people here. I have a feeling it's gonna be a fair amount. Yeah, a lot of yeses.
That makes me feel better.
Okay, so here's the thing about print ads. Remember we talked about the categories, right? Is this marketing? Is this branding? Is this lead generation and everything else like that? Then we talked about having the patience for things to actually work. The reality is this: print ads without a supplemental plan is taking money and burning it in a garbage can. Literally like this: throw your dollars in, throw a fire in, and burn it. Because if you start thinking about it, okay, here's the magazine, right? So I'll use my hand as a chart. This is the magazine and these are the print ads. 0 to 1 is, have you thought about all the things? Well, have you thought about really what the messaging is and the journey of the customer? And that's actually starting to lay the ads out one by one and look at your ad like a TV show. Is it like Curb Your Enthusiasm where each episode is different? Or is it more like a series where one thing goes to the other? That's part one. Number two, it's when you're doing print ads, it's what do I want somebody to think? How do I want them to feel? What do I want them to do? And where's the continuity in that, right? think like when you read an ad and you hear certain words and images, they create thoughts, right? What's the emotional tone of your ad, and ultimately what do you want somebody to do? Are you putting QR codes on them? Are you giving them a landing page? Are you adding value? Are you sharing a video? I would encourage anyone doing print to find some sort of contest to give stuff away to drive people through your social media and pages. That's part of it, right? So if you look at this circle, part of it is thinking about, okay, here's the messaging. The second part is what else are you doing supplemental in that area, right? Because if you look at where she lives, her office is located, where they work, what they're doing, this actually could be part of a larger content strategy, right? So I'm going to give you a hard yes, and let's cut the 20 other thousand, $22,000, but keep what you have with that magazine and do it 4 times a year. Try to renegotiate with them. They'll probably give you a discount because you've been there a really long time, and say, look, what can you do? I'm either going to cut this expense or you're going to keep it the way it is and give me something better. And most of the times with the print, because people are canceling left and right, they're willing to do that. So then you cut it, right? So then the question becomes, okay, if I'm looking at my postcards I'm sending, I'm going to do a local event, I'm going to put this thing in the magazine. Maybe you put something in the magazine that talks about an event for the first 100 people that own homes that live somewhere, and you can meet 100 new people, right? And then you start looking at the supplement thing, and the words that you guys all want to write down in this is the journey of the customer. Great advertisers and marketers bring people on a journey. So when we go through this whole thing and people are like, well, this is just about money again. No, it's not. This is about your entire business, because this is like the nucleus of the brain that helps power everything. So when you start looking at your money, you start looking at your investments. When you start looking at your investments, you start looking at, have you done the things? What are the things? How do they all go together? Where you cut your money, and then how you start thinking through this differently. That's the goal of all this, and having Gretchen share this. So look, I see her taking notes, and she's like, oh, I've thought about this, I've thought about this. And we have our coaching call today. She's gonna be like, well, what are we really gonna do with all these things? And look, so what are your thoughts right now after hearing all this?
Well, I think, it's very easy to go and decide to do something right for one reason. And I think we kind of get in our own ways a little bit as agents, because for me, especially, the more I feel like more is better, right? But the problem is I stress everybody out around me because I want to do more. So I want to do this and I want to do this, but we're not really thinking about the customer journey as a whole up front before we go and start doing all of those things. So, like your comment on a QR code that goes to a video that's a contest that would get people to social media. Like, that's not something we've ever done before, but I think it's something that could really work in this market because nobody else is doing it either. So I'm excited to have found some money to do some other things with, because I feel like print is not dead at this point, and I really want to be able to reinvest that into getting direct to people's mailboxes, because that's where we are seeing a return, especially around home values and such, and being able to direct people to landing pages for that. But I really haven't specifically thought about that for a print ad in a magazine.
Yeah, well, look, like people like free stuff, right? So you know how you have all those relationships with local restaurants? Maybe offer to do a collaboration with them, right? Hey, I want to do local collaboration, and you can do a print piece. And like, this is a difference between campaigning and piece marketing. So Gretchen would go into a local restaurant. She talked to one of her friends and owns a thing. Hey, I'm looking to do a collaboration, right? And great. We want to find 4 great restaurants, raffle off free dinners that are like high-end dinners, and we're going to do videos and everything else and create a social media contest around it, so you guys get a ton of exposure and get people in there. Great. And you put that in the ad, and then in the ad it literally talks about what they get. And like, what you guys don't realize is look, if everyone's trying to get into a house, what happens? That, like, at an open house, there's a huge line to get in the front door. Well, guess what? If you walked around the back, odds are the back door is open and you're in the same house as everybody else is. You just don't have to wait online. And that's how great marketing works too. You can get the same attention with people to your brand and to your company, just in a different way. So if you guys are doing print ads, right? So for her, keep it or cut it. I would cut everything else. I would keep the
Midtown.
local area. And then I would sit down with your team and do a creative brainstorm session And like when I was saying the thing, you do the market and start drawing lines. I need this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece. And then think about it. Like if I was reading this magazine, I'm committed to 4 ads like once a quarter, right? Like where does each person go throughout the year? Right? And start thinking about it. Yes, you can always adjust it, but look, the goal of marketing is to bring people into your business, your life, your so whatever your outcome is. But don't look at these ads like people don't, consumer behavior is not like, let me read an ad and go call somebody. That's not how it works, right? So the question is, if I have somebody's attention for 3 to 5 seconds, what do I want them to do? And if you start thinking about this way, that's like the have I accounted for everything that needs to be done to make this investment worthwhile? Then you go, can I do it? You need to actually look at your schedule. Like, do you have the bandwidth to do this? And then that's where the will I comes in. Will I actually do this? Right. And I always go to home gym versus like working out in an actual gym. There are people that have great home gyms, and the reality is they'll never use them because they hate working out at home. But they think it's convenient, it's going to work. Like I just have to walk to my garage or my basement. Doesn't really work that way for some people. They're never going to do it, right?
No.
Yeah. Unless it's COVID and you had to. But other than that, like there are a lot of people that like going. And then I know another group of people that hate the gym and like will only work out at home. Yeah. So it's you have to know yourself. So, all right. So the first part about this is cut. And then let's go into, so now we have, let's say, I don't know, I'll make this up. Let's say $30,000, no, $20,000 to play with.
20. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are you thinking about in terms of you want to send direct mail? Where are we sending direct mail?
Well, we've got a couple of neighborhoods that we've got a good grip on, that we do a lot of the higher end listings in those neighborhoods. And in our market, that's $1 million and over. We just don't have the bigger listings here. So we've got a couple of neighborhoods, specifically one in called 12 Oaks, that we generate a lot of business from. And what I feel like right now is happening in the marketplace is I feel like we're seeing a shift where most people have pulled their budgets away from direct mail and they put them into digital, which is easy because you can track it, right? You can see what your KPIs are, and but it's very noisy there. The mailbox is not noisy anymore because people aren't spending money on it. So I really, we've done a few campaigns where we have shifted into going direct mail to do home valuations and make it super simple. Like, Gretchen, if I could sell my house for X, I'd sell it in the spring. And they go to a QR code and they type the number in, and that's it. And that has worked really well. We've had great returns on that. So I'm feeling like getting more into the mailbox instead of the inbox is kind of where I need to be right now, because it's not so diluted.
Okay. So you're saying the purpose of this, right? So this, to be clear, is a new campaign and not a supplemental campaign to any of the other marketing advertising you're
doing. Well, I mean, we've sent postcards before. So no, I think this is a new campaign where we are specifically going after move listings who are going to move up. So we're going for 2 sales instead of just 1.
Okay. So first thing, right? So the purpose of her thing is to get new listings in the specific area. So here are all the have-I's when it comes to mail. Number one, if you're not going to send, they generally go out monthly. Some people will do more frequently in the beginning if they really want to get, top of mind, but it could be considered spammy. It doesn't. Go with your own gut on that one. But if mail, I always say, if you're not ready to send 12 pieces, don't send 1. Meaning if you're not going to commit to it for an entire year, don't do it. Right? It doesn't even work that way. So then it's the have I, right? Have you taken the time to account for all the things in direct mail, right? Like, what is the annual turnover rate? Like, what percentage of people move? Who is is there a dominant listing agent? Is there a person that has a certain amount of market share, right? Or is it spread out over people? Well, I know it's going to be you, but I'm just saying, like, these are things that there's the swag. Gretchen has like New York swag. So there's the thing that you have to think about too is look at the landscape and like almost like a pie chart of like how many different brokerages work in the area. Is there one agent, right? These are all things to think about. Mm-hmm. Then the third piece in this is there anything supplemental that you can do with local marketing for that neighborhood? right? Are there events that you could do, like an ice cream truck event or something like that for the neighborhood? Like, do you know anyone? Have you sold any homes in the area? You
Yeah.
know, these are all things that you want to account for before doing this. Because look, if there's one thing we learned from the print advertising, is don't think about all of these things in a silo. All these other little pieces are the groundwork that will help. The time you put in the beginning doing this saves you a ton of time and a lot of money in the end. But people just generally say, I'm going to go here, I'm going to dominate, here are my goals and everything else. Campaigning. Have you thought about campaigning? What is the message over quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, right? You can plan messaging and then change it for the market.
Right.
As opposed to being these people that says, well, I don't really know what the market is, so I'm just not going to plan. That's a bad business model. You rather have something great and tweak it and be ahead than sit here and like wait to play catch up.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. If I'm going to do these postcards to these, there's a couple of specific neighborhoods. Would you also send those cards to all your past clients that are in houses and just kind of put them on that same drip campaign, even though it's not neighborhood specific? No, you would do it neighborhood specific.
Well, here's the thing. I'll ask you this question. Would you talk to a stranger in the same way you talk to your friend?
No. Mm-mm.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to send something to your past clients, right, a great way to do it is just saying, hey, I left my financial advisor and I was doing my annual portfolio review. And I was thinking actually of you in the sense of, you know, I do this for my financial investments, and homes are people's largest investments, which got me thinking, how come agents don't do this with their clients every year? So if you ever want an equity review of your home, as it's your largest investment, I'm happy to prepare something. I would love to come see you. And you
I
put something
love
like
the
that
equity
together.
review.
Yeah.
You just think of that.
Yeah.
That's good.
We've used different messaging in the past, but it's connected with the story, right? Because it's very normal for somebody to go to a doctor for an annual checkup. It's someone to go get your teeth. Like, there are all these things you do annually, and your home, which is the largest investment you have, which is the largest monthly payment you make. You know, there's also a lot of things you can do with equity. People pull out equity and they make investments through their credit lines and other things like that. So now here's a good example of supplemental marketing. You could send this thing about an equity analysis, and then you could send a drip email for the next 3 months of saying, hey, here are 3 great ways that investors use the equity in their home to grow long-term wealth. And then you could start talking about it like that, because that kind of thinking triggers somebody to say, well, you know what? I don't want to do all this, but if I have a lot of equity in my house, let me just sell it and do something else. It at least starts a conversation.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So
go back and watch this again.
Yeah. So here, I want to leave 5 minutes in the end for anyone to ask questions here. Right. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So look, she's going to cut about 20 grand in her print. She's going to repurpose it to this. And she's going to promise me in front of the 175 people today that before she goes and running guns, Karen, you could hold her to this, that it's unrecorded, that she's going to think about the entire supplemental strategy and not just rush to market. Right. So it's important.
We're going to plan it out on our 2:30 call, you and me.
See, move fast. Okay, so thank you for sharing. So wait, okay, so does anyone have questions? Howard had his hand up before. Howard, and I see Prina next. Like you said, cutting is one thing, but where do we invest if we're not a team and we need to develop business ideas? Okay, so Adrian says, cutting is one thing, but where do we invest if we're not on a team and we need to develop business?
You want me to take that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
They hear from me all the time.
I would invest in video. I would invest in your past clients, your SOI, and I would invest in a phone and a ring light, and I would film as many videos as I could possibly film. That is the fastest way to traction in this market this year, next year, and probably the next year. And so I would have, just like Chirag said, I would really think about the type of content, what you're good at, what you enjoy doing and the type of content that you want to put out there. And I would film it with my iPhone. And just like that's exactly the way I started when I didn't have a team in 2016. And we've grown from $3 million in 2016 to doing 130 million last year. So it's been rapid. And I attribute a lot of that to the video that we did in the beginning.
There's your answer there. There are certain companies with turnover, like I'd say generally at least you want like a 5% turnover rate. It depends how many houses are in the area, right? So
we like an 8% turnover rate. And then there are apps that you can go into for direct mail. I've been doing a lot of research on this and working with some really people who are a lot smarter than I am on this. And there are apps or platforms that you can go in and figure out who's lived in their house for 5 years or more, who has a certain amount of equity, and who is more likely to sell. So you're not just blanketing an entire neighborhood, you're going to the houses within that neighborhood that meet those criteria.
So Gretchen, they have a ton of questions about video. So I'm going to volunteer Gretchen one day to swap out for me, and she'll do a session on video. So look, here's a couple things I'll tell you guys. In terms of turnover rates, whether it's 5%, 8%, 5% of a 5,000 home place and 8% of a 200, you have to look at how many houses are turning over. And then out of that fraction, look at how many agents actually do the work, right? That's really important. And do you mind sharing apps? What is this question about apps now?
It's about the app for the direct mail. And yes, I will share it. I'll put it in the
so she'll share it with us, and we'll also add it in the recap email.
Mm-hmm.
So look, thank you so much for being open, honest, me volunteering you for a video session because you have a real passion for it. You have a videographer. And look, everybody, the takeaway from this for all of you should be this. If you're spending a single dollar, think through the entire thing, please. And if your money is in process now and you want to keep it, make sure you account for all of the things in my make pretend wheel that I showed you guys with the marketing in the middle, and then make sure you can actually put it in your schedule. And if you're not going to do the supplemental marketing and everything, this is like to build momentum. So do you guys actually understand now, like, yes, if you do, like how all of this stuff is starting to get connected between the core 4 and your KPIs of money, thinking through your investments, the can I, have I, will I? It's like you guys are having like a real operating system to your business. And do not cut your personal website.
No, do not do that.
Yeah, please don't.
Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thanks, Chirag.
Bye, everybody. Love my heart. I love you all. I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Make sure to attend the expert mentor sessions. Bye.